Hello, and welcome to another episode of This Is Our Year. Very fitting today, Douglas. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you here.
Oh, we're very happy to be here right now.
We're very happy to be here. Dougie.
It is.
How you doing today?
It is. I'm doing good, Mike. I'm glad we're into April. I was wishing some of this news wasn't a April Fool's prank. So I'm dressed in black a little today because it is 5 p.m. on the East Coast, and about an hour ago, the Jacob DeGrom news broke. But I think first we must drink. We must toast.
Yes. So what are you drinking today?
Even the bad times. So, all right. So this has been sitting in my fridge for a while, and what better time to break it out? Check out this can, by the way. It's like a rainbow warrior motherfucker on a Pegasus. But this is All My Friends Are Dead by Hoof-Hearted Brewing. Of course, that would be terrible if all my friends are dead. But I feel it's fitting now that maybe our Mets' hopes have died just a little bit with this news. So, also, this is 13.5%. That's why it's been sitting in my fridge for a bit. So good luck to me, I guess. I apologize in advance for what's going to transpire.
I think you're doing what all good Irishmen do at a funeral, and that's
right.
Right? Yes. So, where's that brewery located?
Oh, my bad. So these guys. Hoof-Hearted is in Connecticut, and they're part of the 12% Beer Project, which I may have mentioned on another pod. They're a collective of local breweries that have gotten together and market themselves. Check out their Instagram. It's fucking great. And they deliver everywhere in Connecticut, and it's really, really good beer. Obviously some cool designs too on the can, but once again, 12% Brewing, or 12% Beer Collective, something, the 12% Project.
Nice. That's awesome.
Out of Connecticut. So check them out.
You make me almost want to drink beer again.
Oh, it's great. Connecticut, Connecticut's known for its pizza, right? But it's really, really come a long way in terms of beer microbrews.
I don't think our audience may not even know that. Let's talk about the pizza a little bit here, as being some CT boys at heart.
Yeah.
What's the best pizza in Connecticut, Doug?
Oh, you're gonna get me in trouble. I'm supposed to stand for Colony here in Stamford, but no one fucks with New Haven, right? So you're talking Frank Pepe's probably.
Frank Pepe's?
Yeah, I mean, do you have an opinion on this?
I mean, I love Frank Pepe's, and for all of you that are listening that don't know, Frank Pepe's is a institution started in New Haven in the Yale area, and it's coal-fired brick oven pizza, right. And I want to say their signature is like the shrimp, or it's the clam and shrimp.
Yeah, it's the Clams Casino.
Yeah, the Clams Casino pizza, which is fine, but it's the dough is just so charbroiled and delightful, and the cheese is perfect, and the sauce is delicious.
Right.
And it's nothing like New York pizza. It's very different.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with the area, it's kind of it's not a backlash against New York pizza. New York pizza is great. I'm not going to sit here and be like, fuck New York pizza. But it's kind of a different animal. And I can't recommend, if you're in Connecticut for whatever reason, hang out in New Haven downtown. It's not just Frank's. There's a ton of places. A bar comes to mind. It's just called Bar. You got Louis Lunch, who I think, they claim they invented the hamburger, and that place is still open. That needs to be experienced. I mean, New Haven is a great, great town for food tourism. And,
yes, agreed.
And some drink too, so.
Absolutely. And I will say I've had many a Colony, and Colony is, it's just in a category of itself. I mean, hot oil and onion is the go-to, right? Yeah. And it's an Irish pub that makes pizzas, right? And they've perfected it so well that I think they've at least got 2 or 3 locations now. I don't know if they're franchised.
Oh yeah, no, they're here now. Well, obviously they're here. They're in Norwalk now. I think they're up in Fairfield, but you're right.
Yeah.
And they have an imitator. They had a personnel split, and there's like a guy named Rico now who's like got the recipe. So it's great.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing that California is not known for is pizza, because their pizza and anything bread related is shitty.
Are you saying the California Pizza Kitchen is not so good?
it's average. Out here, it's probably a 10 out of 10. But Olive Garden out here is a 10 out of 10 for Italian food.
Oh, that's sad.
So it is. But they are known. They are known for wine.
Yes.
And segueing well into Italian and wine, I'm drinking this Barbera 2019 from Reverie 2. It's a Red Rock Vineyard Sierra Foothills up in Napa. And this is one of the 1,800 wine clubs that I belong to that I need to pare down. The wife and I were actually just talking about it. We've filled our wine fridge to the brim, and I have an oversized wine fridge to begin with. And we have nowhere to put the spring allocation because the good news is I'm not drinking as much, but the bad news is I'm not drinking as much.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it's time Jenny and I pay you guys a visit.
Yeah, we said we have Easter coming up, and I do celebrate Easter as a Jew, and the fam's coming out, and we're doing a big celebration. But we're just delaying the inevitable.
But before we go, a toast to you. And
toast to you.
What lovely time to be a Mets fan as usual. So cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Do you think you're going to be drinking more with this news? How are we right this second with Jacob DeGrom?
I mean, literally, you broke the news to me while I was on a jog an hour ago, and I couldn't deal with it, so I just ran. I just ran harder, faster. But as far as, we talked about it previously. He is a generational pitcher. He is reminiscent of Koufax from what I've heard, that he just was lights out for so short of a period of time, and he just can't stay healthy. And this is, the third year in a row that we're dealing with something with him?
It is. And after coming off two Cy Youngs, obviously, back-to-back. And I think I've made those Koufax comparisons as well, just assuming that he would have 3 or 4 more years of this level, right? And all of a sudden, you're questioning all that. Man, it's a bummer. I'm still processing. We still have Max Scherzer. We still have a hell of a lineup. We'll see about the bullpen. We'll see about the back end of the rotation. They need help, but so this is a good team still. I think a bunch of teams going to make the playoffs. But wow, it's just such a bummer, man.
He was, supposed to be our opening day starter,
right.
Less than a week away from opening day. And, yes, we have Scherzer, and that is a good 1A, 1B situation. But to your point, now this starts to challenge our depth before we even get to day one. First major injury of the season that I can think of. I've been watching left and right. I haven't seen anyone get injured in spring training that is going to be missing a significant amount of time.
No, that's a good point.
And it's like, it just, I don't want to do the woe is me, but I'm going to say it. We, as Mets fans, we can never have nice things. And
yeah, there's always some adversity, right? Especially with these pitchers, man.
Right.
And I think back to like rolling off that World Series in 2015 that surprised us all, right? And we had Jake, we had Noah, we had Zach Wheeler, we had Matt Harvey, we had Steven Matz. My God, they all went through some shit, and all the different stories. But God, the future was bright back then, and and Jake's the last one standing now, and it's just like here we go again, right?
Yep, exactly.
We're so used to this, I guess. Right now, I feel a little numb. I'm like, okay, baseball season started again. The Mets are banged up. Here we go. And thank God for Max, but man,
thank God for Max, and thank God for Bassett, and it looks like Walker is coming back a little bit more closer to health and should be ready by opening day from everything I'm reading. Maybe you're reading something different.
Yeah. And a Cookie Carrasco hopefully still knows how to pitch. I know he looked okay the other night, but I hope Tyler McGill's ready.
Tyler McGill and David Peterson. At least we have 7 deep, right? So now we're 6 deep already right off the bat.
But you always go 10 deep during a season. But I just, man,
it's rough.
that 1-2 just had us dreaming, right?
Yeah, dreaming. And let's see how many back-to-back starts they're going to make this year. Hopefully, if he's going to miss, they said at least a month, and then they're going to reevaluate. Right. It's a stress fracture in your scapula of his throwing arm. I don't know, for those of you that don't know what the scapula is, it's your shoulder blade. And
yep.
I've literally I can't remember the last player that I even knew pitcher that injured their scapula.
So I was listening to Carton and Roberts when this news broke, and they were talking about this, and I was just F5 or scrolling on Twitter nonstop. Matt Harvey's had this, among other things, as we know. Michael Wacha in 2014, Brandon McCarthy. Apparently, Zach Wheeler had an issue with this. So a little bit of background. You're right. It is the bone, and they're just going to rest it. If he had continued, like just pitching through the pain, the next thing, and this is according to the FAN, the next thing that would have happened was the rotator cuff. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. Epler just went on like a few minutes ago. I don't know if you saw this, and he said, this is obviously disappointing, but it could be a lot worse. It's just the bone. They're emphasizing, and there's no structural damage. So who knows, though, man? I don't have to tell you, it's the Mets.
It's the Mets, and we're dealing with a guy who has gone through so many injuries from pitching. Yeah. He's got an electric arm, but he uses so much energy to throw every pitch, so much torque, and the human body is not meant to throw a baseball. It's a very awkward motion.
But a lot of guys can maintain careers doing it.
Absolutely, but they're not. A lot of guys aren't throwing 99 to 101 on every pitch, and
these days a lot of guys kind of are. You're right. He was like above it. He's a freak.
Yes,
and it's probably out of our scope of expertise to talk about it, but screw it. I'm drinking 13.5% beer. Let's talk about it. Does Hefner, the pitching coach for the Mets, come back, and does leadership tell him when he comes back, hey, tone it down? You're throwing 95. If we see you throw over 98, we're going to talk to you. Is that even a possibility? Would that help? Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I think right now the answer is rest, and I think err on the side of caution, because I think you made very good points earlier. The good news, or the silver lining, because none of this is good news, is that we caught it early. It's not structural, because a rotator cuff is career ending, right? Nobody comes back. I mean, that's what put Johan out. That's what finally took him out. And if you fray your rotator cuff, there's no known surgery that I know of that can go back in and rebuild that capsule. It's your shoulder capsule, and that's what keeps all the rotation in there, so that you can throw a baseball in the awkward fashion that humans have learned how to do.
Right.
So if we've caught it early enough and we can let him rest for a month, 2 months, I don't think as Mets fans we should be thinking, oh, May 1st he's going to go on a rehab. I don't think that's what we're talking about. I think they're going to take this month by month, and I think this is probably something that's going to keep him out post All-Star game.
I totally agree. I mean, on the Fan, they were optimistically, the earliest would be June 1st. I think that's way too optimistic. But
but that's what media wants to do, and that's what the Mets want to tell you, so that you can kick the can down the road and deal with it then. This is gonna linger probably till August if he comes back at all, and I think he's gonna come back.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think he's gonna come back this year. I think they did catch it. I think it's gonna take a lot of rest. I think he's gonna have to not throw, and then he's gonna have to ramp up again. And the good news is we finally have a professional manager in place who is a veteran who knows how to deal with things like this. So this is where I'm like, I'm happy we have Buck manning the ship, and we have, although a frail back end of our rotation, we do have quality starting pitching that we can slot in, and I don't even think we need a fifth starter until probably the end of April. So we can roll with Carrasco, Walker, and
Chris Bassett. How good is that trade looking right now, by the way?
Oh, it's amazing. It was an amazing trade.
Can you imagine who knows, if he wasn't here? Oh, my God.
Oh, no. Now I would definitely be halfway through this bottle if he wasn't here. So he can slot in as a 2. Scherzer can step in as a 1, and we're not handicapped in any way, shape, or form. By the time we get to the 3, 4, or 5 slots, okay, maybe we're even to subpar pitching that we're rolling out there, but I think our lineup can do enough damage against other teams' 3, 4, 5 starters that we may be able to make up for it.
That's the hope. It's a hell of a division they're fighting in, but again, with the expanded playoffs, there's no reason for despair today. It's just like opening day with Jake, and then knowing that we could watch Max on Apple TV Plus the next day.
How do you feel about this Apple streaming on day 2 for Mets and Nationals?
Not upset. Kind of laughing at everyone who is. I understand that change is hard. I'll be the first one to admit that, but guys, it's going to be okay. I was saying though, and I don't know if we caught this earlier, but I was saying that I just hope that Apple TV Plus and MLB do a better job than the NHL has been doing with ESPN Plus and Hulu, because again, like it hasn't improved over the season. I mean, I don't know why I wasn't watching Nets Bucks, but I had Columbus New York Islanders on last night, and the feed still sucked. So
what's the problem with your ESPN Plus? Because I don't have issues with the ESPN Plus. The only issue I have is that they don't put every game on ESPN Plus like I thought they were going to. NHL TV snags half the Islanders games, and then I can't watch any of them. Yeah,
I mean, look, that part I sympathize with people, and especially like all the blackout stuff, right? And I know that's an issue with MLB too. My issue with I don't know. I get it through Hulu because I mean, we might have ESPN Plus, but I still have cable here in the New York area, so I get most of the games. So every once in a while I log onto Hulu, and I don't know, the feed sucks. So who knows? Maybe it's my internet, but it seems like it's their problem.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, like, and it's typically the Islanders feed from MSG. Normally, it's not really any other team that I've experienced. I've watched other games. It's just it takes a while for it to scrub down so that it's buffered at a faster pace. But once it gets there, then it's fine.
Well, MSG being cheap with the Owls is nothing new. I mean, God,
right? So
that's been going on for 40 years. So
yeah. So maybe one day we'll get our own cable network.
Yeah, I mean, not to get way off topic, but. The only reason the Islanders are still in New York is because of that Cablevision contract, though. So thank you, MSG, I guess.
Yes, thank you, MSG. Thank you. What's the guy's name?
James Dolan?
James Dolan. Yes, thank you.
God, I feel dirty. We're going to need a couple of these tonight.
Hey, the Rangers are finally... respectable. They will make the playoffs this year. We don't talk a lot about them. They will make the playoffs, but the Knicks...
They are. Well, it's Shesterkin has been so good.
Yeah. But if you really look at the numbers, so has Sorokin. But we don't need to go... Mm-hmm. Let's not go down this tunnel here, because then I'm really going to get upset about the fact that the NHL fucked us to start the year every way they could so that we aren't making the playoffs, and now I can't watch playoff hockey.
I really maintain it was that COVID thing where they made us play 5 games and then they paused it for everyone else. That really screwed them up.
Yeah, they made us play 5 games with our
because
AHL
of the
team.
opening of Belmont, and ouch.
Yeah.
That was 5 L's right there.
Yep. It was, it was
Pellick
awful.
was hurt also. I mean, it's just a shit show because of that road trip, right? I mean, I agree the road trip was a factor.
The road trip plus 13 games to start the year on the road.
They just got buried.
And they started off fine, and then they lost like the last however many, and then they came home and got hit with COVID, I believe, in Florida.
Yep.
And could never.
Josh Bailey, thanks.
They just never fucking recovered, and that was an absolute abomination of a beginning of the year, and now here we are. Where we're playing fucking Grant Hutton and we're playing Ross Johnston.
Hey, Sebastian Aho, double goal last night.
Yay.
Shout out, baby.
Yeah, within 1 minute of each other, the two Sebastian Ahos.
That's really cool. Yeah, and they brought up Salo and they didn't play him, so.
Again, come on, Barry. Get Salo in the lineup. I get that they want to play the guys that need to be rewarded and they want to stay left, right. And Hutton, sure, if you want that guy to be your 7th defenseman last year and save some money, I'm all for it. But, Salo should be playing over Aho. Salo should be playing over Hutton right now. That's the guy that's got a future with the big club. Aho is probably going to leave as a free agent this year. And Hutton is probably going to be your 7th defenseman, riding your bench and playing 10, 15, 20 games this coming year.
Actually, I disagree. They're going to bring Aho back like they brought Dal Cole back. And just bury him in Bridgeport, you know what I mean? Like that. That's the Lou special. Like don't play him enough to showcase him.
Well, He's gonna get free agency a year early because they
didn't play him enough.
Exactly. So
that's some Lamoriello magic there. There's not much there with Aho, obviously, but there is some offensive ability. That was a little nasty snipe last night, but he's a disaster in his own zone.
Yep. If he was your third pairing defenseman playing 15 minutes a night with a strong defensive right-handed pairing, maybe.
I don't think it even works with Mayfield in your scenario next year, but maybe. But Salo should be overtaking him.
Yes, Salo is a better player than Aho. Exactly. Yeah. So can we just get Salo on the ice? But we don't want to talk about the Islanders.
Yeah, we're way off track here again. I blame Hoof-Hearted Brewer.
So
thank you.
So let's talk about this, Dougie. What's the opening day? Let's talk about some opening day because I do want to get excited. We're less than a week away. We'll be recording next week, probably the day before opening day.
Right. So opening day is Thursday, right?
Opening day is Thursday.
Start recording, I couldn't remember.
Yep.
Perfect. So I'm actually going to Texas on Friday. I'm going to miss that exclusive Apple Plus.
Just download it on your streaming device so you can watch anywhere.
I'm going to be running around at Austin like an a-hole, so like an a-ho. So nice. You'll have to fill me in. But you're right. Everything else is pretty much set, right?
It seems that way. It seems, and it looks like we're going to get Chase and Shreve as our lefty reliever. How do you feel about that?
It looks like it. I will say that guy Alex Claudio has been spotless this spring, and with the expanded rosters, maybe you see both. By the way, especially with this Jake news now, I think you see both of those guys.
Yeah.
We're going to get to know Alex Claudio. I don't know him.
I have no opinion about him one way or the other.
I think Chase and Shreve was on the Mets, I think, during the 2020 pandemic season.
He was.
And he was actually pretty good.
He was all right.
Obviously an ex-Yankee, and he's bounced around. But I mean,
I looked him up after we talked about him last week, and he played for Pittsburgh last year. And that's if you want baseball anonymity, I'll say that 5 times fast. Then go to Pittsburgh, right? Because they don't give a fuck about that team. They just want you to come.
Well, the ownership doesn't. The fans do.
Yes, sorry. The ownership doesn't give a fuck about that team.
Have you been to PNC, by the way?
I haven't. I've been to Pittsburgh numerous times. I've never had the opportunity to go to PNC.
It looks incredible.
Doug, we've talked about it. That's our goal for the audience is to travel and see the Islanders once a year in a different road place, and I think we should also add the Mets to that. We've done a decent job.
Yeah, maybe we do a broadcast from the road this year.
I think that's a great idea. I think 2 broadcasts from the road. We'll set it up later on in the year. But yeah, so I think Chase and Shreve and Alex Claudio look good. What do you about this kid? I can't remember his name. That's throwing like 96 miles an hour for the Mets right now.
Is that Holderman?
Yes, Holderman.
Another lights out spring. Look, I mean, it's great to be talking baseball again, right? And we've had a lot of lights out spring guys who may or may not have had any success once the actual spotlight goes on. But he's intriguing. And again, when you have a guy like Jake go on the IL, which I'm assuming they're doing, and you're, as you mentioned, they might not need a fifth starter for a while. I think you're going to see guys like this. You're going to see depth guys. I was looking over the stat page for last year, and did you realize? I think they set the record for most players used. In their franchise history yesterday. Like, do you remember Steven Nagosic? Do you remember Trevor Hildeberger?
Nope.
Do you remember
Travis Blankenhorn?
Blankenhorn, Jake Reed. There are so many randos. Who knows? Maybe there's a diamond in the rough. I mean, this is the time where hope springs eternal. Did you see anything with Holderman or read anything about Holderman? I just watched the highlights from his pitching. I want to say last night, and he was throwing 95, 96 on the gun, and he had pretty nasty sliders. So nice.
That was pretty exciting. That was definitely exciting. So
yeah, and there's a lot to get excited about with the Mets system. I know it still needs some work, but my God, like Alvarez is going to be mashing in the minors this year, and you got Brett Beatty.
So we got 4 high-end prospects.
Got Vientos, you got Mauricio.
Yep.
These guys are all graduating to the higher levels of the minor leagues finally. And I think it's going to be a really fun year in terms of that.
I think so as well, and I think we still have some chips if we need to make a move later on down the road.
All of a sudden.
Which I think it's possible that we're going to need to make a move down the road, which we haven't done in a couple of years. I don't count Stroman because I'm not going to give him that sort of airplay because he's not a great person in my opinion. But
social media ruins everything, right? But how about this question? I don't know how much you know about him, but with the Jake news, if they turned around and did another deal similar to getting Chris Bassett and it involved Ronnie Mauricio for say a number 3 starter, something like that, would you be down with that, or you want to hold?
I think at this point,
natural shortstop, by the way.
I think at this point it's way too early to make a deal for a higher level, upper echelon person. Not that I wouldn't do it. If we can get someone that we can put in that 4th spot in the rotation that ideally has a more than 1 year term, I'm okay with moving Mauricio or Vientos. I'd like to hold on to Beatty and Alvarez.
Alvarez is untouchable.
Yeah, untouchable. And Beatty, I think, is a guy that you can slot in at that third base position, and I think he can be a mainstay there for
which makes sense, right? Right now we have Escobar and JD Davis, so
yep, you got guys that are all. We got a lot of roster flexibility, so yeah, ideally I would move them, but I think what I'd rather do at this point is do something more stopgap, pick up a guy that gets cut at the end or someone who's not going to make the team. I hate this guy's name, but someone in the form of Jason Vargas,
Oh no.
Innings eater, fifth starter that can go out there and throw some innings, and but you got Tyler McGill, so do you even need to do that? I don't know if the
I think you do.
I think you do too. I think you got figured out last year. I think McGill's more of a spot starter. AAA
I think
guy.
Taiwan got figured out last year. I hope he's ready for a full year because
I disagree with you on Taiwan. I think Taiwan was an all-star in Seattle, got hurt, came back, and hadn't thrown more than 100 innings in 2019 or 2020, and we pushed him to 160 innings last year, and he just ran out of gas. He was an all-star last year.
So you think he's a solid number 3 for this team?
I think he's a solid.
Max Bassett, Taiwan.
I think he's a solid number 4. I think he will step into the number 3 role.
Everybody's just been bumped up.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna. So if you're telling me we can trade Mauricio and we can get ourselves
like a McNeil from Oakland or something.
If we could do that, then yes, I would go ahead and do that. Especially because that guy's got some swag. He's got some.
Hell yeah.
I love anyone with high socks except for Robinson Cano.
Oh no, the Cano hate. Hey, he's been playing at first base, man.
It's our 3rd string first baseman. That's about. So let's talk about this, Doug. We've dived into this a little bit. How do you see this roster shaking out? We'll know more by next week, but it'll be a good comparison, little time capsule. Where do you see us landing with our roster to break camp with?
So it looks like they aren't going to do anything else with the outfield. So my prediction is that Jankowski makes it as the 4th outfielder. A little underwhelming. So they've already announced that Brandon Nimmo, not Starling Marte, is going to be the center fielder, right? So Starling's going to start in right field. Those guys are interchangeable. That's fine. I'm thrilled that both of them are on the damn team, honestly.
Right.
They should be both on base monsters. I still can't get over that Marte led the league in stolen bases last year. It seems like anytime that happens and then they come to the Mets, they forget how to do that. So I don't know. Like, do you think he's going to be a stolen base dynamo?
I do.
Okay.
I think that Buck's going to give him the green light to go whenever he wants to go, and I think he's going to steal 30 bases this year, and we haven't had that.
30? I'll take it. What do you have, like 47 last year or something like that?
I will look right now. He had...
It just seems like it's been forever, and maybe I'm forgetting someone, but...
He had last year, over the course of 2 teams, he had 47 stolen bases. Look at you, bro. Look at you. Yeah. So I think 30...
Sometimes I prep for this damn thing.
So 30, I'll be happy. And I think he's going to bat Marte 9th. And I think he's going to bat Nimmo leadoff.
Whoa, 9th?
That's what it looks like. He's got Nimmo leading off and Marte 9th.
So give me your lineup.
Oh, well, to your point, I think Nimmo leading off. I don't know who you're going to slide. I guess you're going to put McNeil in that second hole, right? I don't know if that's the best place for him because he doesn't take pitches, but Nimmo doesn't really steal bases. So
we've seen Pete in that spot.
We've seen Pete in that
before,
spot, but I'd like to hold Pete in the third spot.
I agree with you there, but and you're right. This is Bucks, so it's going to be a little more traditional lineup, maybe, which is kind of nice for us old heads.
Yeah, I guess Lindor is going to bat second though. If you're really going to go traditional, I think it's going to go Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, and then I think your cleanup hitter is going to be.
It's going to be Cano just to piss you off.
Right, it's going to be Cano just to piss me off. I don't think it's going to be Kana or Escobar.
No.
And so Escobar is going to be your third baseman. Lindor is going to be your shortstop. McNeil is going to be your second baseman. Pete's going to be your first baseman, right? You got McCann, your starting catcher, and then Kana and Marte and Nimmo in your outfield. And between Cano, Davis, and Smith as your DH will be rotating, right?
Right. So that's why I'm not totally sure Marte is at number 9, just because I feel like they might want to. You might want to bump him up. So you got look. Escobar is kind of a black box for me. I admit. I just never watched him play. So
he had 30 home runs last year.
Yeah, which kind of blows my mind.
I think that's a guy you can bat anywhere in the lineup. Though he's a switch hitter and he can hit 6th, 7th, 8th. I don't think you're going to hit him 9th. I just don't think they want to bat McCann 9th because then.
Right,
you're gonna have this plotting catcher, right? So
yeah, you'll have Nito and McCann in the 8th spot. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think I really think that we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get now that I've had a real chance to break this down. You're gonna get Nimmo first. You're probably gonna get Lindor second. You're probably gonna get whoever's playing DH between Cano, Smith, and JD Davis third. Alonso will be fourth. I think Escobar will be fifth. I think you'll go Canna 6th, and then probably who am I missing here? McCann and whoever's playing third or second. So I think
you're missing McNeil. I think
McNeil. Right? So McNeil will go 6th. I think Canna will go 7th, and McCann will go 8th, and then Marte will go 9th. And I think that's how it'll go.
Lefty righty. I don't have this in front of me, but
I could. Because you got switches with Lindor and you got switches with Escobar.
I could see Alonso in the third spot. We'll see what Buck does though, right? He is pretty traditional. So if anyone's going to put him fourth, it would be Buck.
Yep. So I think that makes the most sense. And then we've got a decent DH. We got a decent bench.
Speaking of, are you believing this stuff about Dom Smith? Like. Was fighting through some injuries last couple of years and he's back, or is that typical like spring training blah blah?
I believe he was fighting through an injury last year because his power was completely zapped, and he showed some great power the year before. I mean, I think if this guy could get regular at bats, he could hit 30 home runs. So I don't understand how he only had like 12 home runs last year or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I don't know about 30, but he's a 20-25 guy. We talked about this in some of the lost episodes, but McNeil was extremely unlucky by the numbers last year. JD obviously got hit in the hand. He was raking before then, and that kind of threw him off. And as we just mentioned, the Dom injury. I think there's hope with those 3 guys. I expected one of them to be traded at this point, though. I'm kind of surprised that they're all still here. Who knows after this Jake thing, but are you happy that all 3 are still here?
I'm happy that McNeil, JD, and Dom are all here. I'm not happy that Cano is still here. Honestly, I mean, I guess they're doing what I would have done too, right? Because he's got another year after this at like $20 million, and 22 million, something like that, and Seattle's paying.
Thanks, Brody.
Yeah, thanks, Brody. Thanks for that. Getting your client on our team. Hey, he signed Jake to the long-term extension, right? So I can't be too upset. But but I think if those 3 are here, that's great. I think Cano, we'll see what he's got left in the tank. If he's only a DH, and I think that was Brody's thinking the whole time was this DH was going to happen a year or two earlier. So maybe if all he has to do is hit, he'll be fine. So I don't know, but I do think we're I think we're one bat short. That's all I was going to say. Go ahead, Dougie.
I think you're right if you're talking about an outfield bat. Yeah.
I was hoping to re-sign Conforto. I kept hearing all the rumors that we may not. I just heard somewhere that he signed with Chicago today. I don't know if that's been announced.
Oh, is that true? I missed that with all the other drama.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you're right though. Like between Marte and I think I mentioned this last episode, between Marte, Kana, and Nimmo, there's probably going to be an injury anyway. And,
right.
And I think, and look, Kana is kind of like Escobar, where he's a little bit of a black box for me. I know he's had a really decent career, but we will see, man. We've seen a lot of guys show up here in New York, especially on year one, and kind of just like, I don't know, either try too hard or just fall off, right?
I think the nice thing about Escobar and Kana is they're not coming in to be the guy like Lindor was last year. And I think that's what got to Lindor, and that's why we witnessed his worst season.
I'm not worried about him, by the way.
I'm not either. I think that it's very reminiscent of when we brought Beltran in. Beltran's first year
carbon copy
was so underwhelming, hopefully. And then he turned out to be one of the best Mets to ever, field the uniform, and probably the best Mets center fielder to ever play for the team. And if you don't believe that, you're out of your mind, and go look at
Totally agree. The haters are focusing on one pitch.
Right. I mean, that pitch still hurts, but
it does.
I can't believe Adam Wainwright is still fucking pitching, but Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. They got Pujols, Molina, and Wainwright. It's a fucking reunion, and we're going to hear about it all year.
But the crazy part is they're still good because they got Goldschmidt and they got Arenado.
Oh, that team's never not good, right?
Right, because they have great management. So hopefully we do too. I think...
And the worst fans in the world.
Have you ever been to Busch Stadium?
No, I haven't.
So I've been to Busch Stadium.
I'm being facetious because they call themselves the best fans in the world, and fuck that.
They're a pretty good fan base, but I have to tell you the one thing. One of my clients from my company is based out of St. Louis, and it's a city that I've spent more time than I care to admit in, and I've been to more Cardinals games than probably anything other than Mets games, and their fan base is great. But if you want to take a time warp back to the 90s, go to St. Louis, because
I kind of do, man.
Every male in St. Louis wears a dry fit polo, but like a golf shirt, with a pair of Dockers khakis,
or cargo shorts, right?
Yes. If I'd ever been in the summer, I'd see the cargo shorts. But yes, they wear the Dockers khakis, and they wear penny loafers, and then they smoke cigarettes. Like St. Louis
you have my attention.
I mean, they smoke like everyone still smokes. Like I think the majority of St. Louisians, I don't know how you would pronounce that, still smoke cigarettes. So I don't know.
I'm going to want a cigarette after this beer, man.
Yeah,
this is good stuff.
I can see it on your face. It's like going to Middle Earth, dude. It's just a whole different level of people.
So not. This sounds a little more preppy than the wraparound Oakley's crowd. Maybe the Braves get.
I don't know if they get it's not redneck-ish. It's more like they definitely still have goatees, and they smoke cigarettes, and they drink Budweiser.
But they're kind of corporate. Yeah, they all work for Anheuser-Busch.
They're kind of corporate-y.
They bow down to the Church of Joe Buck.
Yeah. Who didn't he just take over Monday Night Football?
He did, and our boy Kevin Burkhardt, former Mets correspondent, number one.
Number Fox, number one at Fox. Good for you, Kevin.
Oh, and by the way, while we're on this, Eddie Coleman announced he's retiring today too. So quick shout out to Eddie. He's been there forever.
I think he's been there since, hasn't he been
since
with
the
Mets
inception?
Since 69, yeah. I mean, he's got to be 90 years old. Him and Stan Fischler. How are those guys still working? I don't know.
Stan was on that TNT broadcast or the Hulu broadcast the other night. Yeah, he sounds great.
He does. I'm pretty sure I read an article like what his secret to success was, and he said he didn't drink. And I was like, well, that's some bullshit, Stan. That's some bullshit. Follow the Ralph Kiner. Yeah.
Now you tell me.
Follow the Kiner. Secret to success. Get shit-faced by the 5th inning and not be able to pronounce people's names properly. And no one will ever do anything about it.
It's a beautiful day at the ballpark.
Yes.
On this Father's Day. So to all your fathers out there, happy birthday.
Fans of our show, if you are listening and you have never YouTubed Ralph Kiner, Drunk Ralph Kiner, go please do so and enjoy. Compliments.
Yeah, I apologize for that impression. I'm so bad at him, but I needed to do that.
It made me laugh.
I love Ralph.
Yeah, I love Ralph too. I don't know how there's not a statue of him at the stadium.
That's a good point.
The Wilpons are gone. So that was one good thing that I saw out of this past week is Buck picked up Keith and threw him in the golf cart and said, anywhere you want to go is not off limits, your Mets royalty. And the fact that had happened for the last 20 years, that he wasn't allowed to, intermingle with the team on the field. It's
insanity.
Just shows how, stupid the Wilpons were.
Do you think like he was like kind of not even rude, but just like dismissive of Jeff once, and that's why like for 20 years he couldn't go on the field? I mean, that's basically how. I mean,
I'm sure the girl thing in San Diego probably didn't help a lot.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine. I mean, you would have fired him if that was such a big deal. Internally, right?
Oh, no. Hold on. The Wilpons don't have any currency in that regards. They had their own issues with
they still
harassment.
do. We're still cleaning that shit up.
Yeah, so...
But yeah, nope. So I don't think that was a problem. But I think at the end of the day with Keith, I do think you're probably right. He probably said something like, tell your kid to shut the fuck up, like I won you guys a World Series. Keith doesn't pull punches. He's going to tell you how it is. Right. I'm sure Jeff was an asshole, and Keith told him he was an asshole, and speaking of cigarette smokers, and Fred, I think Fred, again, we've talked about it before, his biggest downfall was his nepotism, and that's, besides, getting in bed with Madoff, the fact that he allowed his son to run roughshod over this franchise for 20 years, and, they got us to one World Series, but I think it was in spite of how bad of ownership they were. So
is Jeff Wilpon a Kendall Roy or a Roman Roy? For those who watch Succession. Oh, you don't watch Succession?
I don't watch Succession, no.
All right, nope. Well, sound off on the comments.
You're going to have to answer that one, my friend.
He's probably a Kendall. He's probably not as...
Is that the one who's Macaulay Culkin's brother?
That's Roman. Like Roman's the real sicko on that show.
Okay.
Who doesn't really take shit seriously.
Got it.
And Kendall's the super serious, I'm going to take over the world type. So that's probably Jeff.
Got it. But, that sounds more like him. We digress. So we got our lineup out here. We pretty much already talked about the rotation. What's your take on this team going forward as currently constituted? Where do you see us falling record-wise? Where do you see us falling playoff-wise? Give us your take, Doug.
Absolutely. And honestly, I'd probably have to look at the playoff rules again. There's a bunch of wild cards, right?
12 teams.
There is no excuse not to make the playoffs, even with this Jake news. In terms of the division, though, I'm kind of expecting them to roll in like second or third place. I hate to say it. With this Jake news, obviously, I was probably a little more optimistic before that. I think the start of the season is really, really important. I don't know if you agree with that. I mean, it's kind of it's an easy thing to say, right? But they get off to a bad start. This thing's going to spiral without Jake. So, what's my prediction? I'll bump it down to like 88 wins with this Jake news. I still think they're going to be very good. And I have that spring optimism. Now, you're going to tell me that like Edwin Diaz and the bullpen is going to kill the year. I could totally see that happening. But I actually think they're going to be good. I think they're going to bounce back from the bullpen. And my biggest worry, though, is the back of the rotation holding up. It really is. Again, especially with this Jake news. I'm broken record here. So, cautious 88 wins.
I like it. I'm going to be more bullish.
Okay.
Bullish? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to go 90 plus. I think we have something in on this team that we haven't had in, God, I want to say probably, well, it's been 5 years, right? 6 years since Terry left. We got a manager who's an adult in the room. And I think the biggest problem we've had the last 2 years is that we had an inexperienced manager, and we had a bunch of young, up-and-coming kids that, you want to believe that McNeil and Alonso and all these young guys, JD, Dom, weren't going out and, we can talk about the on-field shit, but they weren't going out and partying their faces off and getting drunk and showing up hungover. And these are still 25-year-old millionaires living in New York that half of them are, either single or they got ladies, but I mean, sometimes that stuff doesn't even matter. And right. you give these guys the ability to go out and do whatever they want. And baseball is a very night owl kind of thing, right? It's not like football. It's not like basketball where...
Yeah, no, you're going to dinner at like 11:30.
Yeah, you're going... Maybe it's like basketball, but you're going out. You're going out late. You're staying out late. And when you're in a city that doesn't sleep,
And you have a game every day.
And you have a game every day. And you're
city NBA royalty. gets those hangover days.
Yep.
NHL too.
NHL too, yeah. MLB, they get 3 to 4 days off a month. So these guys are playing day in and day out, and they're playing, 5 of those 6 days a week, and the day, hopefully a day off. So I think you got a guy who's a professional who's coming in and telling them. As much as I like Lopez, I think that he was just inexperienced, right?
Yeah.
So I think
or he didn't have that authority.
You didn't have the authority, you didn't have the clout. You got Buck Showalter. I mean, he's never won a World Series, but he's done everything else that you could possibly do in baseball.
Yeah.
And I think that he's got a different air. I think he's going to treat these guys like they act, and I think they're going to listen, because I think at this point, he probably came in first of the spring training and was like, "Do you guys want to keep being mediocre, or do you guys want to fucking win? Because there's too much talent in this room, and let's put it together." And I think Max Scherzer, as much as we overpaid for an over-the-hill guy, I don't want to say over-the-hill, but an older guy, I think that that's what he brings to the table too. I think this guy's going to come in, he's going to take no nonsense. If the rotation goes out and gets shit-faced, and the guy shows up hungover and drunk or whatever, he's going to call him to the carpet, and he's going to win. He's not going to lose that battle.
No.
So that's why I'm a little bullish. I think that we're going to put it all together this year, finally. All the talent that we've talked about having for so many years that just never turned into anything because we didn't have the right development. And now I think we're going to finally develop it. And you're right. Maybe the bullpen is going to be a question mark, but I think every team's bullpen is going to be the question mark.
Oh, I'd rather have this one than like Philadelphia's.
Right.
Well, look, I think you're absolutely right. I like that they added veterans in Kana and Escobar. And Bassett, obviously. Just to play devil's advocate, Bobby V was a veteran manager. He went to Boston, and that was a complete shit show.
That was under very different circumstances, though.
Sure.
Because you want to remember...
Was it?
It was. Bobby V was here, and he did more with less. And now...
Yes.
And we can break down Bobby V all we want, but we're talking about Buck. And if you look at every stop along the way, Buck has taken his team to the next level. Maybe not Texas.
Initially. And I'll take that initial bounce. Absolutely.
Yep. So I think that we can work our way towards 90 wins. I think I'm happy that we don't have some inexperienced guy that doesn't know how to deal with the media, that doesn't know how to deal with, 25 to 30-year-old millionaire men in their prime, thinking that they're on top of the world, living in the biggest city in the world. And I think that this guy's going to bring some sort of professionalism to the clubhouse that's obviously been missing.
I still can't wait to see Max Scherzer throw a pitch in a Mets uniform, man. That's going to be so awesome.
Well,
not to digress or get off topic, but wow.
No, 6 days from now.
I'm looking for something positive today, right? After the Jake news, but we still have Max, man. That's fucking great.
Well, Dougie, we were gonna get into a bunch of other shit, but I think we've done justice to.
We gotta call this. I could drink more.
we can keep drinking. We can just sit here and keep drinking with each other. Right. I think we've beat the Mets to death today, and I think that that's been a good one. So, you got anything you want to say? Any final words?
No, but someday we'll talk about the Nets, right? Maybe.
Someday we'll talk about the Nets.
Someday all this homework I've been doing will pay off. But
well, I figure we lost to the Bucks 2 nights ago, and
last night. No, that was a hell of a game.
Well, lost to the Bucks. Yeah, okay. We got a couple more minutes. We'll give you some extra overtime here.
Is KD okay? By the way, like I know the ankle.
He's pissed because Grayson Allen rolled up under his leg. Should have been a flagrant one. He should have been ejected from the fucking game. The refs decided to swallow their whistles. But I'm not going to sit here and talk about, we should have won that game. We should have got 3 free throws, yada, yada, yada. So he definitely made a point to say his ankle hurt last night in the post conference, press conference. Yeah, I think that was a fuck you to the refs. Like, my ankle hurts. People have hit it twice in the last 2 days. Maybe it hurts a little bit, but he was trying not to get fined for telling the refs to like do their jobs, which they didn't do last night.
Well, real quick then, who do you want in the play-in tournament?
It's funny. I was listening to the Glue Guys today, which shout out to them. Great podcast on The Athletic or wherever you get your podcast. And they were talking about they actually did the breakdown of who we want to play, like best case to worst. And this was what I was listening to while I was stewing over the Jake DeGrom news. But Cavs is the way it's set up currently is how I want it to go down, which is I think we got the Cavs in round 1, right? And they would
is it 7-10 and 8-9? Because if it's 8-9, it's Charlotte, right?
I thought it was 10 and 9 play each other, and 7 and 8 play each other.
My bad.
Yeah, so 10 and 9 play each other, which is Charlotte and Atlanta. And then they play the loser of 7-8 or 8 and 9, and then whoever wins that becomes the 8 seed, and whoever wins the 7-8 game becomes the 7 seed. So right now the Nets are 8, Cleveland 7, and then Charlotte and Atlanta are 9 and 10. So if it could stop today, like give me this, because then if we can beat Cleveland, go in, we still get a chance if we lose to play one more game to get in. And I think we can take Cleveland to task. And then if we get in at 7, I believe we would play Philly or Milwaukee in round 1. Which,
like as it stands, right? But
so
in other words, you don't want to fuck with Trae Young, though. In other words,
I don't want to. I mean, Charlotte just beat us on Sunday.
True.
I think if you watch that game or if you paid attention, like we played a pretty damn good game. They shot lights out and they beat us on the boards and they beat us on transition, and that's the thing. Charlotte is a great running team, and we're not a great transition defense team. So they match up well against us. But I think I would like to play Cleveland, and then I'd like to just get in and be the 7th seed and go from there.
And there's a storyline there too, right? With LeVert and Allen.
Well, LeVert's gone. It's in New York. They traded him to Indy, but then Indy traded him somewhere else. Maybe he is in Cleveland now. I have no idea.
Hopefully everyone turned this off by now.
Yeah. All right. And then on that note, let's talk Nets next week. We'll have a better idea of what's going on. We'll also have the final roster and see how close we were, and we can talk a little more opening day.
And before we leave, fuck the Rangers, right? Let's go Islanders tonight.
Crackhead Theo. Let's go Islanders.
I said it. Nice.
All right, guys. Till next time.
This podcast was produced by Heartcast Media.